Well, in a lot of ways, I view this channel here at The Quartering as a news outlet with commentary layered on top. Sometimes some truly insane information comes across my desk. And over the past few weeks, I've had several people reach out to me from Ubisoft about their diversity and inclusion indoctrination training. And I've been slowly collecting all sorts of information from people, everything from internal PDF documents that will blow your mind, and we're going to go through that. I've got a couple of, I think I need to break this up into 2 parts. So part 2 will be tomorrow. I've had internal like conferences recorded and sent to me, voicemails, so much stuff to go through. And I thought I'd start off with what appears to be a real indoctrination, a marketing ploy to get people to buy into diversity and inclusion. Now, it's not realistic to expect, everybody to buy into something like this. And it's also, I want to be very clear that I think diversity is great. Okay, it really is. Forced diversity is not great. What I think makes companies great in terms of diversity is diversity of thought, not of skin color, not of genitals, things like that. And I heard some calls where they were referring to, oh my God, one of the calls, the HR person is saying, we got 2 black ones, talking about 2 black folks that they hired. And like, can you even imagine talking like that? Whoever those black folks are that got their job at this Ubisoft, I can't imagine what it is to be viewed as just a token. This is, in my opinion, a very racist and minimalistic way of looking at people. And I'm going to share a little bit of this video. Now, the quality is poor because it's recorded on a cell phone, like in secret. And it is what it is. The audio isn't great, but it has, thankfully, it has subtitles. So we start looking at some stuff.
Build on this strength that is diversity, and then ultimately will bring more creativity to the company.
Diversity has to include using our platform and our cultural influence to take a stand and to model inclusiveness for our players.
So on diversity, it has to include using our platform and cultural influence to take a stand and to model inclusiveness for our players, meaning they also want to spread this ideology to the customers that are buying their game. Now, this is bad timing for these leaks to be coming out as they've got Assassin's Creed hitting, but it is what it is. And, Assassin's Creed wasn't high on my list to buy, but it's definitely not on my list now. I will continue to vote with my wallet against companies that choose to indoctrinate people like this.
To say to people who are being excluded, you are welcome, you have a voice, and we're going to help you speak.
There's diversity, which asks who's in the room, and then there's inclusion, which asks who is being heard.
When you're able to find a way to bridge gaps and bring those people together, you can really force multiply what they can bring to the table.
This group interview was very different for us. We're all in a room trying to build some case scenario, trying to stand out of the crowd. And I'm not going to lie, the room was pretty not diverse.
The room was not diverse. So I knew that I had to stand out even more than others. Is that why you dressed like that? You're wearing, what is that, chili peppers or something on your shirt? I mean, again, this is somebody who, she literally said, you looked around the room and you saw it wasn't very diverse. So what she's saying is she's a racist, is what it sounds like to me. or at least somebody that only sees skin color. Because how can you see diversity of thought?
I knew that I had to stand out even more than the others. And in the end, we were taking 2 people only, and I was selected.
So I'm trans, and everyone from HR to my colleagues has been very supportive of that, and I haven't had any negative experiences, and I would definitely attribute that to people being aware of differences and being respectful of them.
Or you haven't had any negative experiences because people aren't assholes. In general, you know, if you look at what a lot of people talk about on Twitter versus the reality of what people are like in real life, it's just that when you work with people, you're generally kind to them. It has nothing to do with being indoctrinated. Including minorities.
Feel good at work. We need to mitigate any possible minority effect. According to studies, when a minority represents less than 15% of the given group,
isn't this funny? According to studies, I'm not going to quote any or anything like that. And so what she's essentially saying is if you don't hire, if I could word this like a normie might hear it, if 15% or less of your staff are black folks, then they act white. Is that what she's saying? Over adapt? Is that a different way to say assimilate?
Be themselves to fit in a pool. And we don't want that at Ubisoft. It's why we need to work on diversity at large to increase all types of minorities within Ubisoft. Finally, we need to see diverse talent as a competitive advantage and do not hesitate.
Isn't that funny? We need to see diversity as a competitive advantage. It's not. Diversity of thought is advantage. Everybody who talked to me from Ubisoft said that it's hilarious to look at the is dichotomy the word for it, or the split where almost every developer in the building, which let's be clear, most people that work at Ubisoft are programmers, developers, they're all white men or Asian men. Overwhelming majority. Where they're pushing all this diversity is in like meaningless positions. They're bloating out their HR department, and we'll see when I go through some of the PDF documents and stuff like that. I'll show you how they're working with universities and things like that to create these positions.
Who are not like us and become more and more inclusive.
How can you increase diversity?
And then we also want to celebrate all of the diversity we already have to make sure people feel welcome and included.
From unconscious bias training to...
Unconscious bias training, by the way. We've talked about this in the past. And more indoctrination.
Tools that the diversity groups need to speak for themselves.
So definitely hiring across all genders, orientations, all backgrounds, cultures, languages. Putting all that aside, but actively looking for people coming from different backgrounds would be great.
Okay, so actively hiring diverse people. So what they're saying is we aren't actively looking for the best person for the job. We are actively checking boxes of color, of skin, orientation, whatever they want.
You can breathe. It's really nice. There's also been the workshops.
That means if you are the best person for the job, you are unlikely to get it if you're not the right color.
Recognize and reward a wider variety of leadership skills and qualities. Like many companies, I think we're still operating under a power and control-based
behavioral norms.
Western, traditionally masculine, while a growing body of research demonstrates the value also of decentralized collaboration-based approaches to leadership.
Something that's made a big difference to myself and colleagues I've spoken to about it is the presence of women in high leadership positions here at Ubisoft Toronto.
Is the presence of women in high leadership positions here at Ubisoft Toronto. That's right. It's all a facade. This is another way of saying representation. Normal people who apply for jobs don't even know who works at the company, okay? And every job I've ever applied for, I don't look who's on the board. I don't ask what their sexual orientation is. I just hope that I'm the best person for the job. Apparently Ubisoft,
It helps
not
break
there.
down a lot of the boys' club reputation.
Another way to increase diversity is to have a strong look at what we do in
Here we
terms of
go.
recruitment. And I believe that it's important to look at three criteria when we recruit. The two first ones we know.
By the way, this is a trend as I continue to put out more leaks that you'll find. Almost everybody that works in HR at Ubisoft is a woman.
Are the following. We look at hard skills and technical skills, obviously.
Right, hard
We
and
look
technical
at soft
skills, right,
skills,
exactly.
and the cultural fit
Oh,
with Ubisoft.
cultural fit.
And
No, that's
I think
fair.
it's also important to
That's
look at
also
the
fair.
criteria, which is the complementarity within the team. What is missing in the team?
What's
What
missing
kind of
within the
profiles
team?
are
What kind
missing?
of profiles are
Really-
missing? If you want, so what they're saying is like literally, there's all straight people on this team. We need a gay person because that is going to change how people actually code or do their job.
A diverse team and to have a puzzle with the full picture.
Now I want to finish with a sample of what'll be in part 2. An internal plan, a PowerPoint plan about how to increase diversity. Now, this is very recent. The representational gap in gaming. The industry is, quote, post-Gamergate. Not just a lack of diversity, but the presence of a toxic culture in gaming is now widely acknowledged. So where are we now? We know that stereotypes in video games reinforce prejudice. The impact of tropes and stereotypes in video games is acknowledged from Sarkeesian's tropes. Oh my God, that series, which she never finished, was completely irrelevant. The portrayal of black characters, they quote Kotaku as a source, by the way. This is what they're giving their employees. Surface solutions like the pinkification of games reinforce stereotypes of gender-based play. Bottom-up resistance. Developers and gamers are speaking up. Okay, a demand for transparency, accountability in the tech sector. Now let's see. They even talk about James Damore at Google. I mean, this is pure propaganda. You want to see something totally nuts? There is gender diversity among game players, so why not within games or among game developers? They say 47% of game players in Canada are women. Bullshit. 37% Canadians define themselves as gamers, but 52% haven't played a game in the past 4 weeks. Now, that's a pretty interesting statistic. That is something I would be looking into. Looking at the gender and age divide of all gamers, we see that 46% of gamers globally across 13 countries are women. Oh, bullshit. 46% of gamers are women. Maybe if you're including puzzle games like Candy Crush, you might see a number that's in the 30s. I might agree with that. You talk about how does diversity look when it comes to game developers? Factors influencing the negative perception of the gaming industry as reported by developers. Oh, this is going to be a really, Colt's going to set up for this one. This is going to be some really good information. 57% say it's sexism among gamers. Then 55% say sexism in games. And then you have 55 perceived link to violence. Then you have racism among gamers, sexism in the workforce. I mean, are you kidding me? This is not real data. This is what? A couple of SJW developers answered your poll? In Ontario, a quarter, 25% employees at Ontario Interactive Digital Media companies are women. About half the companies, 51%, employ proportionality fewer than average. Of developers that responded to the International Game Developers Association, 23% of the game developers identify as female. So you're telling me that 77% of the people that answered this were men, and this was their answers? Get out of here. According to the IGDA 2017 developer survey, 81% of developers feel that workplace diversity is either very important, that part's bold, or somewhat important. I wonder why. I wonder if that survey was anonymous, because I'm guessing it wasn't. Because if it was, you might have gotten real data. And again, it's interesting that you unbolded after the word very important. So 1% of people, 1% of people could have said very important, and 80% of them could have said somewhat important. Remember, it's how you propagandize the data. There's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. And there's an absolute metric ton of information to go over about the indoctrination and the rampant, clear, in my opinion, sexism in the hiring practices of Ubisoft. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it can start a conversation. And again, don't contact any of these people, please. We're just going to report on what we have and have a discussion in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.